affecting real people. We provide professional counseling to individuals, couples, organizations, schools, church, and others. Follow, share, subscribe on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Let's Chit Chat UK.
Hi.
Hi, ladies, welcome back. Oh, so you are going to start with us, right?
Yeah.
So let's move. Do the introduction.
Okay. Should we just talk about the topic?
Yeah, let's do the introduction, then we talk about the topic that we'll be having.
Okay. You start
Should we
first.
start? Okay. My name's Wendy, and I'm a visitor today on this platform.
And my name is Greta, and I'm also just decided to join today to see what you guys discuss and hopefully to maybe bring some of my own thoughts and ideas to the conversation.
Wow. And my name is Enoch, Pastor Enoch, and today we are here to chit chat. And it's been a long time since we came live, and today our mom is not around, so we are here to chit chat. So let's chit chat. So, Wendy, what's the topic for today, if you could remember?
So the topic today is young women juggling their careers, their family life, and their life with Christ.
Wow. Can you give details some about like juggling and what the topic is about?
Would you like to discuss it?
No, I think we were just basically having a discussion to say how tough it can be for predominantly women because they have to be the ones to sacrifice a lot in many avenues of their lives in order to progress. And sometimes it can be with their careers and having kids. It can be within the family, and also even just staying prayerful within with their religion, and just how tough it can be. Not to say that men do not also have these struggles, but I do think there is a lot of burden and a lot of strain put on on women and females of today.
Wow. If I may ask, what are some of the troubles that women do go through or young adults do go through in that aspect?
I feel like as a mom, um, first and foremost, being a mom is a full-time job. And I feel like a lot of women now, they're a bit more, more, they have bigger goals. They don't just want to be, the stay-at-home mom. They want to do stuff for themselves as well, like have their own businesses or maybe further their studies and their education. So trying to juggle these two things by itself, it's a big, I find it a big struggle. I find it quite hard because I'm a mom myself. What about you?
Yeah, I think it's just tough for maybe let's say with women, even having a child. I think you have a biological clock, right? Whereas with
Mm-hmm.
men, they can just have kids at any age. And let's say even when you're in a family, and you're in an African household predominantly, where you get to a certain age, it's expected of you to be married, have children. I don't think a lot of the men have that pressure where their family or society is like, oh, what's going on? You've hit this age. Why are you not married? It's kind of a quite relaxed for them, to pick and choose when they're ready to settle down. Um, yeah, and I think unfortunately women are not given that same courtesy or that same understanding. Do you agree?
Wow. Yeah, I do agree, but not totally agree in the sense that I think the man also has a role to play when it comes to that aspect of life. because as you are saying, as Wendy was saying, like, oh, it looks like the responsibility of taking care of the child and those manner of stuff is solely based on the woman, which is totally not true, because the man also is there to help. Maybe the woman might get the opportunity to go and work. I think the man also has a responsibility to play when it comes to, marriage and taking care of kids.
I feel like our argument is more trying to juggle it and having a balance. I feel like once, let's say, if you are in a relationship, and you do
Mm-hmm.
have a baby, the guy then
Mm-hmm.
gets to still further his career. Where with us as mothers, it kind of puts a hold because you carry the baby for 9 months. Then when the baby does come, it's not that you can go straight back to work or go straight back to your career. You have to make a sacrifice, to maybe be at home, let's say for another year, or when the baby does get a bit older, when they go to school. And let's say if you was a mom that you was in a full-time career, you can't really jump straight back into that. Where with the guys, I find it a bit more easier because they can just go back to going to work and doing what they were doing before. It
Wendy,
doesn't really.
I totally doesn't agree with you. I totally doesn't
Do
agree with
you
you.
agree?
Yeah.
Yeah, in a sense that I don't agree with you in the sense that the man also has a big role, because even if you want to go to school as the man, because you have a child, you can't even fully focus on whatever that you're doing in the school. So also bring then also upon the man as well. So the responsibility totally doesn't depend on the woman or the young adult to just take. So
Mm,
it's a shared responsibility, if you agree with me.
maybe it depends on the type of men that you're talking to then.
Who, me?
No, I said him because I think I think it's I think it's a bit more biased. Even if you look at relationships, for example, let's say
Mm-hmm.
you are in a relationship and there is a disagreement, the family or the in-laws will always just say, "Oh, just pray on the matter to the lady," almost as if you're meant to sit idly and wait for the man to somehow miraculously change or do better. A lot of the times, it's like the woman is expected to just be a lot more patient, a lot more understanding, a lot more tolerable of things that are probably not really great. So I think there's a lot of pressure of a woman has to, be that patient, understanding, nurturing, loving. It's a lot of pressure. Whereas I think with the man, I'm not saying that they don't have to be a provider, but I do think there is a lot less emphasis put on what they do wrong, and having to kind of making sure that they are as responsible as the woman. I think it's just you expect a mother to be a good mother. You expect the mother to put her child first. You expect the mother to be there for the child. But if a man doesn't fulfill this same commitment, I think that yes, maybe you will frown upon it, but there is more of that. Oh, he'll get there in the end. I don't think you can say that to a lady. She'll get there in the end because the child will suffer, right?
And they'll class her as a bad
How
mother.
can you how can't you like say the same thing to a woman if you can say that to a man?
I don't know. I'm just telling you what society is like, what it's like culturally. That's what I think. I don't know if maybe we're living in two different places, but that's what it's like. That there's less I think there's just less understanding, or just a lot more pressure on the
Mm.
women. But I don't. I mean, I'm not trying to say it's the men do not try, because there's definitely men who try, who make an effort. But I just think that we have a lot more expectations on a mother being bad. You will never really hear about a single dad, but you can hear loads about a single mum. Many of the times it's the children go to the mother, and you have to ask yourself, why is that? Why is it that automatically it has to go to the mother? Did they both not have the same child? It's not that it has to go with the mother. It can also go with the father. But I just think there's just this ideology that the mum is meant to be the one that the kids are with. Therefore, it's her duty and her responsibility to make a lot more sacrifices.
Oh, wow. Thank you, Sister Wendy. But one thing that I want to ask is that do you think the family also has a role to play when it comes to, helping their children who are in marriage or in a relationship and they have kids and also they want to get on their toes and go to school or to do other stuff? Do you think the family has a role to play?
Yeah, I think the family should be helpful, right? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, like do they have a role to play? Like let's say a young child who has gotten into marriage recently, and maybe they have kids, and the person wants to go to school. Is it solely the burden of the married couple, or the parents, or the family has a role to play to
I
help
think it
them get
depends.
on their toes?
I think it depends on the relationship that the couple have with their in-laws, isn't it? Because sometimes it might not be in a place where you can ask for that help or you can rely on that help. I think it depends on the relationship or the structure of the family, and each family is different in the way it is. If it's an ideal family where everybody gets along, yes, of course, I think it's in the best interest that the family help you and they support you and they provide, whether it's with looking after the kids, picking up the kids from school, and taking off that burden for the mother. But if you're in a relationship where unfortunately you don't have that great communication or understanding with your in-laws, I don't think that it can always be possible. So I think it just depends on the case by case matter and how the relationship is between the family. What do you think?
Wow. Yeah, in my own view, or let me hear from Sister Loretta, and
Oh no,
or
that's
the-
Sister Loretta. I'm Sister Wendy.
wow. One thing is that I know that some of us, maybe we might not want our families to get involved in our marriages and in our relationship. So sometimes, not that the family doesn't want to get involved in the relationship, but it might be the fault of the couples. They have decided not to let anybody post their nose into their matters. So uh, I will not totally like disagree with the fact that maybe the man or the couples has to let the family into their relationship. So our sisters are not on now. We are still on it, like how to manage, relationship, work, and family matters. And we are talking about a situation whereby if the man or if the couples has children, the responsibilities, the troubles that the young adults or the young ladies face when it comes to that situation. You can send your questions about the topic. Wow, I want to read something from what our brother Pastor Georgette Hall. He said, I disagree with you. More pressure is put on the woman. Wow. It feels like most people agree with the ladies more than we the men. But I think we the men also suffer a lot because even as a father, if like you are not beside your daughter and you are so close or attached to your daughter or your son or your child and you are going to school, I think it's very difficult for you to have a studies. Oh, welcome back, sisters. It's a question that somebody asked, that the person that do disagree with me when it comes to the pressures that are on the man as compared to the woman. The person said the woman has more pressure than the man, and I'm quite agreeing with the person. So as we were saying, I wanted to say that it depends on our relationship with the parents, as our sister Wendy was saying. It depends our relationship, and I think that before even we are going into marriage or we are going into relationship, we should also have a kind of good relationship with our families. Because at the end of the day, I always say that we all have families. No matter where we come from, we all have families. So our relationship with our families matters, because when the man can leave, the woman can leave, but we cannot leave our family alone. So before we enter into relationship, we should also make sure that we have a good relationship with our families also. What do you say, Sister Loretta?
No, I don't really agree with that. Because I think that it's good to have a relationship with your family, but I think that at the end of the day, you're here to make your own life, right? You're here to make your own decisions, and every family member that will give you advice when you're into a relationship, they're giving advice from
Their
their own,
perspective.
yeah, their
Mhm.
own experience, their own perspective, and sometimes it may not be true to your own situation that you're entering. I think it's good to have a positive relationship with your family, but I think it's also to be very strong
And
with,
have boundaries as well.
yeah,
Mhm.
be very strong with what you want to do and where you want that to go. Because you're saying, oh, yeah, a man will leave, a woman will leave, but the reality is that that man or that woman, you're meant to be creating a life with them, right? You're meant to have a child with them, and that is meant to be your immediate family, actually. When you have a child with somebody and you decide to form a relationship where you get married, that is your immediate family. It's not your mom anymore. It's not your dad anymore. It's not your grandparents, not your auntie. It's not your aunties. This is your family. So ideally, that is the family that you're building. Because when your child is growing, the same way you're saying, oh, a man will leave a woman. That man and woman that you're talking about is you and the dad that is now formed a family for that child. So I personally think that it's good to have a healthy relationship with your family, but the family for me is not something that I'm going to be taken to my grave with me. That I need to take every idea or every opinion that comes out of their mouth. For me, anyway.
Wow. Sister Loretta, what's your view on that?
Oh, that was Sister Loretta. So my view,
Oh, okay, okay.
I agree with Sister Loretta. I feel like there should be boundaries. It's good to have your family support and you can take their advice, but then I feel like within a relationship, you and your partner should have a strong, strong relationship where you can communicate and where you come together with ideas. Where if you do come into aspects in life where you do need help or some, I don't know, some kind of support from your external family, you can both agree. Not just because let's say your mom said you should do this, that means you must follow her. Because you also need to give the guy that you're in a relationship with that respect as well for him to feel like, you know, he's leading the family. So, but I feel like it's different also to getting support from the family, like to raise the children is completely different than taking a board or advice that the family is given. I feel like they're two different things.
Hmm. So, like, I want to ask that in what circumstances or situation should one involve the family when it comes to uh, one's relationship? Maybe we are married and we have kids. In what situations should we consult the family, or should we seek for the family's help? Because one might not have the interest, like let's say, to involve external partners when it comes to relationship and marriage. So, in what way, in what circumstances, and in what situation should one involve their parents?
I would say maybe if there's disrespect. What about you? Or if the other one's not maybe pulling their weight as much and it's continuous.
Hmm, I don't know. I think it really depends
Yeah.
on on how you see. I don't know how difficult you see that situation, and if you feel like it's something that you both are really unable to solve. Because the thing is that once you have family involved, it's very difficult sometimes to repair some of the situation that can unfold with the family now being involved.
Oh, thank you.
Maybe.
Uh, yeah, it's making sense. But in my own view, I think we might seek for external counselors, because families can be biased. Everybody loves his or
Mm-hmm.
her son or daughter, because if my daughter is at fault or my son is at fault, maybe because of the relationship or the blood relation between me and my child, I might not be sincerely, with other partner. So, in my
Mm-hmm.
point of view, when it comes to marriage, when it comes to relationship, the first people to contact when we have problem, the first people to contact when we have, challenges, shouldn't be our parents.
Mm-hmm.
First of all,
Agreed. I
our,
think.
like, yeah, and I think like we might even sit down first and look at, find out if we can find solutions within. Like, let's say we're talking about whereby we have a case, and one wants to go to school, and maybe the other also wants to go to school. The first decision must be from us on what to do. We ask ourselves that, oh, should we go together, or should we consider one person to go and leave the other, so that when the other finish, the other person also can go. What do you say to that?
I agree.
Wow, that's great. And I know that. Okay, I have a question here that you said, yes, some grandparents can also help. What do you say to that? Like, we have kids and we want to go to school. Do you think it's appropriate to leave our kids to, our grandparents or our parents to
No,
just
I
pursue
think
our careers?
no. I think, to be honest, I agree with what you said. I think first you both as partners should try and discuss the situation. And I think as time goes on in a relationship, it's not immediately that you understand the person. It can take time. It can take time to understand how somebody thinks, their mindset. You know, everybody's different. You can be with somebody who is hot tempered, and you can another person can be very calm. Someone could be somebody who, when they're upset for days. Another person could be somebody that they go over things very quickly. I think it doesn't make anyone bad. I just think it's about understanding how that person functions and how you guys will now solve quarrels for the future so that they don't become anything bigger than what they need to be. But it takes time and understanding to learn that about somebody, right? Because let's be honest, maybe how you behave at home, you will not behave like that at work where you're being paid to actually come there and behave sensibly. You know,
True.
you won't lose your temper fast because you
Mhm.
know that you're at work.
Sure.
They will fire you,
Mm-hmm.
but at
Mm.
home you will act differently. So I think it's just about understanding that person and maybe trying to understand that, okay, if I know that this person, when they're angry, maybe they like space, let me make sure that I just give them that space. So by the time maybe I come with that question again, maybe they will understand the question a lot better, and they will be able to talk and rationalize with me. Whereas if you just automatically think that, oh, because the person said, no, you're not going to school, I'm going to school, then you're just
Mm.
both angry, and it becomes a big quarrel where you then, everyone's saying things because they're upset. But I think it's just about trying to understand the person that you're with. Because one thing I think in a relationship is that you're not there to change somebody. You're just there to actually make that person work with you. But you're not here to change them. They've already lived. This is who they are. You've met
Mm.
them. This is who they are. You know, if there's somebody that's hot tempered, it's not you that's coming that's going to change them being hot tempered. What you can just learn how to do is understanding what makes them tick and how to get to a place that you communicate good with them, because you knew already that they were hot tempered when you got there with them. Or if you know that somebody doesn't like going out much and they like staying at home, it's not about forcing them to go out every day with you, but it's about saying, okay, you know what, since I like going out, how about we find the middle ground that maybe we can go out once every month or something like that. But you cannot mold somebody to become who you want them to be. So just in for me, I just think it's about first of all understanding the person you're with, and that takes time. And if you're really committed to that relationship, you'll be wanting to work on that. Because I think sometimes when you go and tell family members, oh yeah, this person's not pulling this weight, it already gives a bad impression of that person. And as a
Mm-hmm.
man, as a woman, do you really want your in-laws to even know maybe something that for you is very private? Already you feel like the trust is broken. You feel as if that, oh, now
Mm.
people know more about you than you want them to know. Like this relationship between you and the woman, or the man and the woman. So I think it should be very private, and only if it's so bad, like, maybe the man's abusive. Yes, 100%, your family should be involved, or even if the woman is abusive, or if you know that the person is gambling. When it's, for me, I think family should be involved, in
It's
my opinion, when
extreme.
it's so extreme that
Mm-hmm.
you know that you cannot even handle this. And I agree with you that you can get external people involved, such as like marriage counselors, maybe a pastor in
Media.
church, a
Mm-hmm.
media, somebody that can maybe reason with you both. But reality is that I think in order for you to be able to live with that person for as many years as you want to be alive with that person, you really need
Yeah.
to learn to understand them. Understanding, you have to understand who that person is. If you don't understand who that person is, it's just never going to work.
Wow. That's a powerful message and powerful statements. But my worry is that there is a saying that once one gets higher, the person relationship or association changes. So is there not a risk of, let's say, leaving a partner, let's say, to further education, and meanwhile you are not up to that standard, and let's say the person will further the education and meets external people outside? Is there not a risk that the marriage cannot continue, or is there not a risk that relationship will break out?
I feel like there'll only be a risk if the person's intentions are not genuine. Because as a couple, you're meant to build each other, and you're meant to strengthen each other, and build an empire. So it would only be a risk if that person is only in the relationship for a gain, because those are their intentions.
Now, for instance, if the person, let's say you guys are not close, I mean, like because of education, the person has traveled far, the
Mm-hmm.
person has traveled far, and due to the environment and everything, you know, there could be some temptation that can cause the marriage or the relationship to, to break down.
Mm.
What do you say about that? So, should it be a barrier for us not to allow our partners alone, to take that decision, or let's say allow them alone to further the education when it comes to that aspect?
I feel like it plays on trust, isn't it? If you
It's
if
mhm.
there's trust, if there's trust, you'll be okay for the person to go and study abroad. And I'm sure as a couple, you would have made plans that you're going to see each other frequently, or you would have worked out a plan how it would work for your relationship. But if the person's living in one country and you're living in one country and you haven't seen each other for how many years, I feel like that in itself won't strengthen the relationship anyway, because you're both living two different worlds. Two different lives.
So in that way, what should said couples do?
It's either, if let's say if he's there, maybe he's abroad for 3 years.
Mm.
If there's frequent communication and you can travel to each other, when he gets a break or he comes back, or something. But then if it's just a relationship where he's gone abroad and you hardly hear from the person, you hardly speak to the person, or he's just doing what he's doing abroad, would you class that still as a relationship, Pastor Enoch?
Oh wow! But for me, if, as you are saying, if there's the trust is there, and you still trust the person to, come back for you or continue with you, I think there's no cause for alarm when it comes to that aspect. But if you think like you can't trust the person, I don't think it's an ideal type of relationship,
What
because
about you, Sister
mhm.
Loretta? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I don't know.
She
I
doesn't
don't
believe in that.
I don't believe in these long distance things.
Yeah, I feel like you become pen pals.
You
Because
don't
how
believe
can
in long distance relationship.
no? Because at least you must. I know you might as well be pen pals.
But it's not. I think communication plays a major role, like when it
Hmm.
comes to that aspect, and seeing the person, or I would say that you have to carry yourself, weigh yourself to know that, oh, am I able, to stand, let's say, a month, 3 years, or let's say more than 3 years when I'm not seeing my partner, because for some people, for instance, even a day not seeing their partner will be a trouble for them. So I think in that aspect, one must to weigh himself or herself before even entering into such relationship. So whereby the partner doesn't know, or before you guys entered into relationship, there wasn't any discussion about furthering our education, or let's say traveling, and it just happened. What should be done? Like, what should the partners do? Should they break up? What do you say?
They can study in the same country, isn't it?
Oh, I love that answer. What do you say?
They can study in the same country.
They can start what?
They can study in the same country. They don't need one doesn't need to study across the other side of the world. You know, you
Oh,
can
but
get the same. Or they
oh,
all
well,
go.
we,
They go
we have
all go and study together.
we have a mindset that some parts of the world education system is very good than the other parts of the world. So when you got the opportunity, to further up your education in those kind of world that you think is better, should you stop because of your relationship with your partner, or because of marriage?
But if that's the case, when you are going, you can take your girlfriend or your boyfriend with you. Isn't it?
You
Is
have
it?
only one visa.
Is it a spousal
You are
visa?
not you yourself, you are
No,
not going. How will you
see,
take someone? How will you take somebody?
it's
The,
spousal
the,
visa. They can come
the,
as well.
the opportunity is for one person. So how do you go together?
So what happens then? They just stay at home and they wait for the partner to, further their education. And what do? Just wait.
So
Until
no, so if it's 10 years, should
then
they wait? Like, you mean, like, if okay, I'm supposed to
All the
travel.
opportunity in the world, he only found the one
what
that was just for him.
abroad?
That
Yes,
all the opportunity in the world, he just found the one.
So in that case, are you telling me that because of the relationship, one should forgo of their goals or aspirations in life?
maybe at that time their paths, God hasn't destined for their paths to be meet. And if one has to live abroad for 10 years, maybe God wants them, to separate and align themselves with what they actually need to do in life, because you can't expect one person to sit across the world for 10 years while you
What,
are further
what, what
in
about
your
what
life.
about what about 3 years or 5 years? Are
Three
we going
years
to
doesn't
accept
work.
accept that?
It depends if they come back, because they can come back. 3 years, I don't know. It depends on the relationship and the trust and communication. If they're communicating with you, really well once they're there, and you actually still feel like you're in a relationship, then it's each to their own what works for them. But I don't know. What do you
Wow.
think?
My answer is no.
Her answer is straight no.
No.
So
So
you would
you
would you break up the relationship?
Why would they? They wouldn't even do that. They wouldn't even bring that nonsense to my face to talk that.
what do you mean by they won't bring that notice to your face?
Yeah, that just
No,
wouldn't even happen.
the thing
But
is,
maybe
I'm
would you
listening.
go with them?
Yeah, but why I need to go there with a purpose as well. It can't just be to sit and wait for them. It doesn't work like that. I need to have a purpose. So
The like
no.
the purpose of going there with a person.
Yeah, like if, for example, let's say they're saying, oh, they're going to open a business, then maybe I'm going to physically work in the environment, maybe in the country as well. Like I need to go there with a purpose. But to say that somebody's going to come and say, oh, I need to go and do my studies abroad, will you wait? I'll just say that you might as well just, when you come back, by the time maybe the house is not even here anymore, I don't know. But I won't be waiting.
Would that be called love? Like when it happen like that, like
Would love somebody come to tell me that?
yeah, like you trust the person that oh
Yeah,
we are in
I
a
trust
relationship,
them,
but hey,
but I wouldn't come with that type of the story to say. So therefore, I don't think that anybody should come with that things to say to me.
wow. So Wendy, will you accept that type of relationship?
Who, me?
Yeah.
As I said before, I think that's pen pal. We could be pen pals, but
But
Why?
I'm not saying it doesn't work. I think
it
that
does
there's
work for
some
each
people it
year.
works. There's some people that it works. It's really great. It's amazing. All that type of stuff. It's just that I'm just not willing to do that type of things for to myself. Like there's so many people in the world. Why would I do that? It's just not necessary. It's not necessary.
you, 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 you knew in the first place that there were so many people in the world before you chose the person to be with. So when the situation has come like that, I think that there could be a compromise
But
and
you
something
heard
like
me
that.
before saying about understanding each other, right? So from the minute of the onset of being with somebody and the understanding, people wouldn't even bring certain things to my ears because they just know that it's just not something that I would like to hear. But it's understanding from the beginning that this person is not. You wouldn't even come to me to say this because you already know that I wouldn't even like to hear this type of thing. So it's just you know me. You wouldn't even come with that. So no.
Also, so that means that before even one gets into relationship, there must be future plans on let's say what to expect in the long term
Yeah,
or the short term.
I just think that when you get into a relationship with somebody, as time goes on, you both should understand what you're both like, what you like and what you don't like, you
And
know?
what you want from the relationship.
Yeah, and I think it's like, for example, I don't know, I have friends, maybe I have a friend, she was actually in a very long relationship, and for them, they didn't communicate often. That for her is normal, like, and everybody's different. Whereas for me, I don't need to speak to you for a long time, but I do need to have some small communication.
Wow, that's good, but I don't think like if the trust and everything is there, there should be a cause
Just
for alarm.
to check in. So
Your line is breaking.
different. As you're in a relationship, you start to understand what everybody.
You hear me now, Mr. Wendy? The line is breaking. Uh, wow. Yeah, our sister's line, the line was breaking up. The line was breaking up, and we are having a nice chat. You know, long distance relationship, and what are the goals that one should consider? What are things one should consider before the person enter into relationship? And our dear sister Wendy and sister Loretta were making. Okay, they are back. Welcome back.
Yeah, sorry, the internet.
Sorry,
Thank
the
you.
internet was bad.
Yeah, I think the network was bad. So as I was saying, there are people that can be that can control that kind of long distance relationship. For me per se, I might agree with Sister Loretta in the sense that, like, at least you need your partner beside you. You need your partner to talk to, not solely on phones and stuff, but also in person. There are people that are like that. They need people in person and not through phones and these kind of things. And long distance relationship, about 90% of them, I think, does not work properly unless the person is more strong when it comes to that aspect. So I will agree with Sister Loretta in some way. Thank you. So now let's get back to our question about we leaving our kids to our grandparents and our parents, for us to further our education or for us to further our goals or pursue our goals. Won't there be any, let's say, religiously or educational wise, would there be any effect on our case when we take such decision? Let's say I am a believer, I'm a Christian, and maybe my parents, they are not believers or Christians, and because of education or because of a goal that I want to pursue, I leave them for them to take care of my case. Would there be any bad or negative consequences? Oh, the network is bad. Oh, you can also send in your question and send in your contribution. Won't there be any consequences when you leave your case to your parents? Maybe you are a believer or you are a Christian and your parents are not, and you leave your case to them. The question is, won't there be any consequences or negative effects on your case? our network is failing us. This is Chit Chat. We will see you next week, and we are going to continue with this topic. And next week, we are going to discuss about the consequences of parents leaving their kids to, or married couples leaving their kids to their parents who or which are not believers. Won't there be any negative effects when it comes to parents leaving their kids to their external families? So let's chit chat UK, and next week I hope you will have our great men and women also with us, our mommy and the host, our mommy sister, our counselor will be on board next week. We will have Sister Jacqueline, we have Mr. Richard, and all the group with us. So let's chit chat. See you next week. Have a nice day. Thank you. Bye bye.